Hello, everyone. I hope you're all well out there in pandemic land. Things are really nuts at the moment, and I thought it would be a really good time for me to get back into making videos. I think it's been about 4 years since I last made a video, and I've just been really, really busy with other projects, this, that, and the other. But I'm going to start this new series on directors that I love, and I'm going to kick off with one of my absolute favourites. This guy is, certain films, they speak to you on a very deep level, I think, and you sort of connect with them, even more so than what you would say. Like, you might watch something by someone and you think that's really good, yeah, and then you forgot about it the next day. But with this guy, every time I watch his films, they stay with me for days, and I feel so many different feelings and emotions about the way that his craft is absolutely impeccable, and it's the great Andrei Tarkovsky. Now, he only made um, 7 films, I believe, and a short film which I haven't seen, The Steamroller and the Violin. But I've got his main features. I bought these a few years ago, not knowing much about his work. I knew he was quite a bit of a Kubrick, a bit of a sort of, perfectionist, and lots of people talk about him. So I really wanted to investigate his work, and as soon as I did, I just found an absolute connection, a deeper connection. These films hit me on a very deep level, and I'll talk about them all quickly now. But these are the editions I have. I know there are criterions of some of them. I do have one criterion, but I'll talk about them now. They're the Curzon Artificial Eye. So the first film is Ivan's Childhood, and it's quite a short film for him. I think it's 90 minutes, about 90 minutes, but it follows um, this child called Ivan, and really his childhood is one of tragedy because he's caught up in a war, um, and he suffered his losses, and it's all about that. Um, but what makes Tarkovsky so great is the way he shoots nature. I find that really strikes a chord with me. And even in this early attempt, there's some beautiful camera movements and stunning sort of meditative shots on nature, which becomes very, very much even more so in some of his later films. Great film. Um, Again, I think Tarkovsky's one of the directors that I could watch every year. In fact, I do try and watch them every year. But yeah, Ivan's Childhood is his first one. Tragic, beautifully shot, and you start to see those tropes of dreams and the subconscious. Tarkovsky plays with that a lot, and these films really hit my subconscious. Visually, they're visual poetry, really. That's the first one. Then you've got Andrei Rublev. Really love this film so much. I find that whenever I watch it, I get completely lost in it. I think that's the mark of a good film and a good director. If you can get like completely lost in their world and work, and you feel like you're part of it, and it strikes you on so many emotional levels that yeah, they just stay with you. And Tarkovsky he's the man for me. He's got to be one of my favourites. But Rublev is about a painter in the medieval times called Rublev, and the funny thing about it is it's quite I think it's episodic. I can't remember how many, but it's structured in a way that you get sort of like chapter breaks. But much it is about Andrei Rublev, but he's more like a background character, and you're seeing the land and what was happening at the time with you know um, the political upheaval and all the religious stuff that was going on. But again, gorgeously shot, black and white film. Um, I just get so lost in this. Again, nature is very much at the heart of it, and obviously it's about an artist. And Tarkovsky was really he was such an artist, and I think art is so powerful. It can be so healing, and these films are pure. They're just they feel like medicine to me. I go to these for just absolute they're like meditations. Some films you watch, and it might be an action film. These films are like meditations. They sweep you up into them, and you feel part of that world. And it's great. He's just such a master. He dabbled with sci-fi, so you've got Solaris again. I absolutely love this film. Um, it did get a remake. I've not seen the remake. I'm not really interested in seeing it, to be honest, because and some people have said it's better, but I just love Tarkovsky's style. I love his characters. And his sci-fi is really that you have got the spaceship, you've got a few tropes in there of sci-fi, but they're really about the human psyche and human consciousness, and it's that stuff I think that really connects with me. I'm very much quite a spiritual sort of guy, into consciousness, and yeah, it's basically this guy gets called away to this planet because all this weird. I don't want to give too much away with these films really, because they're just so nice to watch. If you know nothing about them, I feel like you get the most from them on the first watch. But I equally find that with his work more than any other director, and there's probably some actually, Kubrick and others and Hitchcock, but Tarkovsky's work never gets boring. I can watch it over and over again and just get something from it each time. I might notice different things, but it's just such a great film. Again, it's got a bit of a tragedy in it, but it's all about human emotion, and it's just such a good film. I could rant about Tarkovsky for ages. Okay, then you've got Mirror. Very complex film, Mirror. Again, I don't think it's that long actually. I said that Ivan's Childhood was 105 minutes. So again, it's one of his shorter works. Solaris, I think, is about 2 hours 45. Rublev, the version I've got, is 3 hours, but I hear there's a 3.5 hour cut. I've not seen it. But yeah, Mirror. Let's talk about Mirror. So Mirror is very self sort of. It's this most autobiographical work, so he puts a lot of himself in it. There's a lot of reflections, and the whole film feels like a dream. It's spliced very spliced. That's a funny word, but it's sort of it's cut in a strange way where the timeline kind of it's not linear. It's very much sort of episodic again, but without the actual chapter breaks. It's sort of, and again at the heart of it is it's just this one, just the most beautiful imagery and camera work. That just, I mean, some of the most beautiful stuff that stays with me is just purely the shots of nature. There's a very famous scene in this where a woman's barn's on fire, and the way the camera pans and it sets up to this barn, and it's like the images stay with me. That it's like they're burned into my subconscious. Like I can still see that barn now, and her sort of standing there, and the rain pouring down, and the sound that the rain makes. It's all. It might seem a bit arty-farty to some, but for me, it just hits me on such a deep level, and that's Mirror. Oh, and now we get onto Stalker. Okay, so with Stalker, I've got two different versions. When I first saw Stalker, it was this version I have. It's the Curzon Artificial Eye. If you're going to get into Tarkovsky and you're going to buy Stalker, don't get this version. It's awful. The print is just damaged. It's dirty, it's scratched, it's the sound's not even that great. And unfortunately it was the first time I watched it, but it still blew me away. Even on a poor version, it's such a strong film. So many things in this hit me on a personal level. I don't want to say too much about the story. I try not to do that too much with these, but basically, there's a place called the Zone, where this stalker he leads these men who want to go there because there's this room that can grant wishes, and which seems very simple, but it's such a great film. Stalker's my favourite Tarkovsky, and it's one of my favourite films of all time, if not my favourite film of all time. It's such a beautiful film. But I've got the Criterion. I paid, I think it was about £19, £20 for this, but I'd happily pay £40 for this. This is such a great film. And the print is so much better. It's so much clearer. So when I watch Stalker, I always watch this one. However, I don't remember, but I think there might be some extras on here that are exclusive to the Artificial Eye, which is why I keep that one. But yeah, Stalker is my favourite. Again, there's this pan that's a really long pan, and it's going up this ground level, and there's some water and things. And I can't do it justice talking about it, but I think I gasped and actually felt breathless when, it was just so beautiful and haunting and stayed with me. That's Stalker. Nostalgia, another really good one. He just can't put a foot wrong. I love everything he's done. You get a lot of sort of like dilapidated buildings and stuff. You get that in Stalker as well, and some of his other stuff. But I always remember the ones in Nostalgia a lot. And this swimming pool scene that later becomes empty, and this guy has to do this ritual with a candle. There's much more to it than that. Again, I don't want to really go too much into the story, because although the stories, they are important, they're not. I, they're not the main thing that I love about Tarkovsky. I do like the stories, but it's much more to do with the effect it has on me in a sense of like a meditation. I feel like these, honestly, they improve my mental health. These films, that's nostalgia. And then this last film, The Sacrifice. Out of all of them, this one didn't blow me away initially. This is one that I've found on repeated watches I've liked more and more. Um, Actually, if I was to pick a Tarkovsky to watch now, it would be this one. Interesting enough, but it didn't blow me away the first time. I still liked it. A lot of the camera works there, the long shots, the long takes. But basically, this guy, you know, there's this threat to wipe out humanity, and he decides to make a deal with God, and that he will sacrifice all that he holds dear to save the planet. Again, sounds, I can't do it justice, and I'm going to give up talking about this film. But again, there's just the imagery, the poetry to the imagery, the nature. He always photographs nature in such a beautiful way. But yeah, that's Tarkovsky. So I just lay them all out like that. Stalker, what a film! It'd be really hard for me actually if someone was to say, I want to get into Andrei Tarkovsky. Which one do I watch first? That would be an incredibly hard question for me to answer because I love them all so much for different reasons. A true artist, phenomenal at his craft, and he done 7 films and each one of them's a masterpiece in my eyes. But I only wonder sometimes what would he have done had he not died. Because he died quite young. But yeah, that's Andrei Tarkovsky. I'm going to do a different director next time, and we'll keep this channel alive finally after all these years. Ta-ra, guys.